everybody. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules for this webinar today. We're very, very excited to announce this collaboration with ourselves and Vieweet. It's going to revolutionise the way you survey properties and gather data for your heat loss calculations. So what we'd like to do initially is I'll just give you a little brief overview of Heat Engineer, just our main login screen, for those of you that haven't seen it or don't use the software. And from that point, I'm going to hand over to Elena, and Elena will go through the detail of the process using Vieweet, the camera and software. And then Elena will hand back over to me, and I'll show you how that data is then imported into Heat Engineer and conduct a room by room heat loss using that data we've pulled across. So I'll share my screen. Share that. Can you see that?
Yep.
Cool. So for anyone new to Heat Engineer or currently doesn't use the software, we are a heat loss calculation software. Obviously, one of the main issues with heating design is accuracy, and this is where we come in. So ultimately, everything we do is to British standard, MCS standard, and backed by the CIBSE Heating Design Guide. And within the software, we gather information based on the property dimensions, U values, etc. And then we can carry out a heat loss, an accurate heat loss, which you can then size an appliance for a property. So if you logged in, and when you logged in, this would be an overview of our dashboard. So we've got a few different widgets here that give you an overview of your pipeline and some local seasonal data, as well as some industry news, and then some kit list functionality there. But obviously the main reason we are here today is for our collaboration with Vieweet. So on that note, I shall hand over to you, Elena, if you could please share your slides.
Of course, thanks, Asa. Perfect. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Elena, and I'm the head of product at Vieweet. And today we are really excited to bring to you this integrated solution with Heat Engineers to show you how a property data capture can become faster, more efficient, and as well fully connected. So over the next few minutes, I will explain what Vieweet does, how the process works on site, the data that we extract, and as well how everything then flows into Heat Engineer software. Vieweet has been operating for the past 10 years, and we are fundamentally a visual data company. This means that our focus is combining the visual information with the measurements. This means that in one simple capture, you will then get different outputs. Over the past few years, we have also enhanced our platform with AI-driven workflows and processing to enhance the efficiency, but as well improving the quality of our data. Our goal is very simple: to reduce the time on site while at the same time be able to gather even more data than before. The partnership with Heat Engineer is really about bringing the full workflow together. So with one integrated solution, you will be able to combine not only the visual aspects of the property, but also all the full measurements. And because these data and measurements are then transferred automatically into the Heat Engineer software, you will not need to anymore to copy and paste data. And you will limit as well your time doing that, errors related to that, and as well limit the cost of revisits, because all this data will be available to you anytime online. So our goal is really to help engineers and surveyors to bring the property back to the office. With one simple virtual tour, you will get multiple outputs. So with Vieweet, we're going to deliver a 360 virtual tours, a 3D model or digital twin, a floor plan, all the property measurements, different maps, integration and property orientation, and all the data transfer into each engineer software. We are extracting currently a different set of measurements in different levels. At the property level, you will get access to a number of floors, bedrooms, bathrooms, total areas. We have an integration with the Ordnance Survey map, as well as Google Map and Street View. And we also have building data, price history, and all DPC rating, all from the Ordnance Survey API. At the floor level, you will get room dimensions, rooms area, vaulted rooms measurements, and heat transfer zone and areas. At the room level as well, you will get all the measurements about the windows, including the orientation, the roof glazing, doors measurements, and the radiators measurements as well. Accuracy is naturally one of the first questions we're asked. Measurements are calculating using trigonometric methods based on reference measurements. We are also a rig surveyor technology partner, and over the past 12 months, we have extensively tested our technology with client pilots and validation exercises. With our deployments, we continue to improve the accuracy through real-world examples, and we have now reached over 98% accuracy on all the use cases that we have validated. The Vieweet workflows is very simple. It's divided into these simple steps. I'm going to go through one by one. The first one is the photo capture. So this is where we need you on site with Vieweet app, 360 camera, and a tripod. You will also need your laser meter, but this time only to take a few reference measurements and not all the measurements anymore. So with the Vieweet app and your 360 camera, you will take a 360 image, you will move to the next room, you will connect those rooms together, and at the end of this process, you will get a virtual tour. For a typical 3-bedroom property, the process will take about 20 to 25 minutes. This is an average number based on 400,000 UK properties that we currently have on our database. So the process is pretty fast. After that, the second step is processing. So after the future energy pack is ordered on the Vieweet platform, we're processing all the data to generate the outputs I mentioned. And this will happen overnight or within 24 hours. The last step is the asset delivery and the integration. So as soon as the processing is finished on the Vieweet side, you will receive an email with a link to access your assets, and as well, everything will be available in your Vieweet account. At the same time, measurements will be automatically transferred into your Heat Engineer software, so you will be able to access them straight away. I will now show you an example of the future energy pack. So this will be the virtual tour walkthrough. So this is something that is available to you as soon as you upload the 360 photos. So the virtual tour will be available immediately to you. And with that, you can walk around the property, moving from these targets. You also have thumbnails at the bottom you can move through, and you can navigate through the property in this way. Once the data are processed, you will then get the full digital twin with all the other data as well available. The dollhouse is placed on the Ordnance Survey map, and this allows the refinement of the location and as well like double checking the measurements, the accuracy of some measurements. From the analysis panel, you will get access to all the data that we extract. So you will have the room by room measurements as well as the window measurements available. So we extract not only the dimension and area, but as well the orientation of each window. We have developed a module for the rooming roof because we know how difficult it can be sometimes to measure some elements for vaulted rooms. And for that reason, we are going to provide all the data to you. We have extracted all the measurements for the slope, gable wall, and etc. And all of them will be accessible through here, and as well will be automatically transferred to each engineer. We will provide as well the measurements of each of the windows there. So all the roof glazing will be provided as well. Going back here, we have a final module, which is called floor relations. This will show how it will transfer from one area to the other, from room to the other. On the side panel, you will see the overlap and the percentage and the total area, but we have as well like this animation that you can activate so that you can as well like visually see that directly through the 3D model or the bird eye view. With the OS API, we can pull different information that are available for that specific property. So you will be able to see building data, price history. If any EPC report was previously available, you will be able to see the rating from that. And we also pull the data from nearby properties, as it might be relevant sometimes for flats or detached houses. You will be able to see as well these different data from there. We are integrated directly into Google Maps with the bird eye view, but as well with Street View on the side. So you will see always like where you are. And this is directly through the Vieweet platform. So you just click back and you go back to your doll house. We have one final feature here, and it's available in the 360 view. And this is a digital ruler. So this allows you to take extra measurements that you might need for your property. And we have two digital rulers. One is to create basically a line, so to just like measure anything that is on a wall, on a floor, or on a ceiling on a line, or as well an area. So let's say in this example, we're just like taking the measurement of this radiator. And you can add as many measurements as you want. So for anything extra that you would like to add, you always have this tool, and you can take basically the measurements directly like online. Okay, and this is the Future Energy Pack in a nutshell. We also have something very exciting coming up soon, which is a totally newly designed Vieweet app. We are targeting to launch this app at the end of June, and the main features are a totally improved workflow to help the user capturing the property even faster, so that 20-25 minutes can be brought down even more. We also have added an option to add annotation to the photos, videos, and audios, so that all the data that you collect on site can be enhanced also with this. We also added multiple reference measurements. So at the moment in the Vieweet app, you enter only one reference measurements, but in the new one, you will be able to add multiple, and this will further enhance the accuracy of the measurements extracted. Once all the data are processed, then the measurements will be available directly through the app and not only through the desktop, and with an option to make the changes directly. So the screen you see on the right, those are all the data that you will see at the end, and it will be directly through the app. We also have additional features. So we are opening up to more 360 camera compatibility. At the moment, Vieweet is compatible with all the Ricoh Theta cameras, but we are opening up to the Insta360 as well. You will have as well the option to remove object, the option to drop objects. These will be tailored to sectors. So let's say for heat pump installation, you will be able to drop those 3D objects directly into the 360 and be able to see them in the dollhouse as well. We have as well a ghost mode, which is basically an option to see through the wall. So this gives like even a better visibility in the 360 view, because you will be able to see from room to room. So getting started with Vieweet is very straightforward. You will sign up to Vieweet at the link below. This is a partner link to IT engineers, so you'll need to use this link from your desktop or laptop. If you don't have a 360 camera, you will need to buy a 360 camera and a tripod. We have partnered with both Ricoh and Currys to offer Vieweet clients a discount on the 360 cameras. Ricoh currently has a 25% discount with this code shown you, and it's going to be automatically applied at checkout. While Currys, you will have a 5% discount that is available on all their 360 cameras. And this discount will be accessible directly through your Vieweet account. So when you will sign up, you will have a button in your account, and if you click, it will basically bring you to the discount. We will also offer for all IT engineers client a discount on your first order. So when you will create a virtual tour and order a future energy pack, you will enjoy this £25 discount on the future energy pack, which has a full price of £95. The discount will be automatically applied at checkout, so you don't need to do anything. It's something that is going to be already implemented directly inside your Vieweet account. There is just one other step that you will need to do, which is connect Vieweet with IT Engineer. This is just a one-off thing that you will need to do, one-off step that you need to do at the beginning. So you will simply go to Settings, Partner Integration. You will find the IT Engineer logo. You will click on Connect, and you will then be prompted with a pop-up with an API key. You will need to copy and paste this API key into each engineer and then click on Done. Your account then will be connected, so you don't need to do anything else anymore. And as soon as all your assets are delivered to you from us, they will be automatically populated into your IT Engineer account. So to summarize, you go into property, you capture the property once, Vieweet will generate all the visual assets and measurements. The measurements will then be transferred automatically into IT Engineer software, and then you will continue your workflow on IT Engineer. So with that, I'll pass it to Asa to explain the workflow on IT Engineer side. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Elena. Very, very well explained. And also, I must admit, having used the system myself, the data regarding the 3-bed property average time is absolutely spot on. I had no experience of using it before, used it for the first time, and it took me 20 minutes to survey my own home. So it really is a very quick piece of kit. Right, I shall share my screen. So, just quickly, so you might be wondering who I am. So my name's obviously Asa, and I'm the training manager at Heat Engineer, here to offer any support with launching new products, any training on existing features, training on the dashboards and the software itself. So should anyone need any further assistance past this webinar, and once we make the recording available, then please feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to support you as and when you need it. My experience is I come from an installation background, installing and surveying for heat pump installations, and then eventually technical assurance and service and repair engineer, running a team of engineers as well. So with that, came over to Heat Engineer to help improve saw an opportunity to help improve the standard in the industry, and I think this tallies in very nicely with Vieweet because of that accuracy piece. It's so fundamentally important that we get that data correct, and Vieweet gives us the ability to do that very, very quickly. So from Elena finishing there, once Vieweet have created the 3D twin, you would come into your Vieweet section of your dashboard, and what we can do here is we can quickly load up the screen to make sure we've got the right 3D twin. And as Elena's previously shown, you can see we've got that there all ready to go and all processed. And quite simply from that point, we will create the project. So as you can see on here, we've got quite a lot of information on the left-hand side, but it's all the process flow for carrying out the survey from start to finish. What we do at the start is we've tried to make it that we ask you a few questions primarily, and with that, it adjusts your workload to suit what you're actually carrying out. So, for example, at the moment, we're potentially installing an air source heat pump. We're asking for an estimation of the heat loss initially, a quote that we facilitate within the Heat Engineer software, a D&O application, and MCS compliance certificate. So if I change this to a gas boiler, for example, you can see my tasks have actually dropped down to 8. And then if I didn't want to estimate and quote, I've only got 4 tasks to do. So we've tried to make sure that we customize it to each individual's needs so that we don't have, you know, someone installing a mains gas boiler thinking they have to fill out a D&O application and a lot of information that they don't need to waste their time on. So for the purpose of this example, we'll do an air source heat pump. And I can show you the estimation feature, the full process once we've got that data from Vieweet. So moving through this then, we've got our Kanban style here of all our tasks. As we move through and complete each task, that will then move across within this Kanban style system and eventually to completed. So the next thing we want to do is we just want to make sure we've got the postcode and full address. Postcode is fundamental for us in Heat Engineer because that's going to give us the external design temperature, which is one of the most important things when carrying out heat loss for a property. If the property has an EPC, we will pull that data from the government's EPC website, and this gives you a ballpark figure of the potential heat loss. Next, we start to build details of the property, and this helps us with our estimation. So the heat loss estimator could be that you are attending site, about to carry out a survey using your Vieweet account and the 360 camera, and a customer is potentially unsure of proceeding before maybe having some sort of awareness of potential heat loss. So in that instance, we can do that here, build this picture of the property, and then get a estimated heat loss more accurate than the EPC one. So you can see from the postcode of the address that's pulled through this data here. So we've got our ground temperature, our external design temperature, as I mentioned previously, and our height above sea level. And then we could push on to our whole house estimator. So the key thing with this is it is just an estimate. It's that initial heat loss calculation based on some assumptions that you would carry out to potentially win work or quote some work before you attended site. So I'll enter these details quickly. We've got 2 ways to do this. We can manually select materials, and we've got the full list of materials and their U values from the CIBSE Heating Design Guide. If you can't find a material, you could add it. If you knew the build up and the U value and you just wanted to add the material, you could do that here. And then failing that, you could actually build that material up leaf by leaf. So external wall, insulation, internal wall, and then that would populate the U value once it's added them all up down here. And then you've created that material. You would then create that and it would add in here. But one of the good features within this is our quick select guide. Now, this makes assumptions based on the property's age, but it helps with a very quick estimate. So, for example, I think it's safe to say there's potentially no insulation in a 1910 property and that the walls are going to be solid. Window type, we'll go wooden. We're going to go double glazing. Intermediate ceiling and floor. This is our living room floor to bedroom ceiling, for example. What's our roof structure? And then our ground floor as well. So you can see there we've got the confetti. We've set our materials. And now we can just push through for some results. And you can see there that estimate is quite high, 23 kilowatts, but it's not unheard of in London with some of the properties in the older brickwork and stuff. The heat losses can be quite high, but what you'll see later on in the process is the difference in the data once we've got that accuracy from those measurements from the 360 images. 2007 litres, that's incorrect. We can get that in a PDF format as well. So you can save that or send that to your customer. And then you could go and select a heat source. So you could add a heat source in here, and then what that would do is that would be built into all your projections for the property. One of the functions we've got within the system as well is to quote. So from there, we can import some stock kit lists we've got. We've created basically some lists of the basic materials you'd require. All you'd need to do as an individual is potentially change the quantities here, and then any markup, etc., that you might need. You could delete anything you didn't require as well. And then we could put a PO number in here, and you can actually email that straight to your merchant for a quote as well. From that point, you could then issue a quote here. We've got customizable preliminary proposal here. So you can change the terms and conditions, include what you would like to include as suits your business. But you can obviously adapt all of these, your lead time, your installation, your dependencies, all your warranties, exclusions, etc. And then you can get that in a PDF view as well. We then have our estimate again, our projected estimation, which would usually produce a result here based on the volume of the property. But what we really want to see is this. So usually from a surveying perspective, if you are carrying your laser level round site and taking your measurements, you'd come back to the desktop here and you would have to enter this in room by room. So add a room, all the details in there, and then next page, all the dimensions. As you can see, because of the work done with the survey and the 360 camera and Vieweet creating the 3D twin, all of that is taken care of. So you've gone and surveyed that property, and all the data entry is eliminated for yourself at the front end of this process. So all our rooms and stuff are in there. All we need to do is change the room build year. So the average around that area is about 1910. That's in between the two. And then what you can do here, obviously we've got a lot of rooms in this within this survey, and I need most of them to be 1910. So we've got a nice copy all function there. So I know that the kitchen, for example, is a nice new extension, and the loft went into at some point. So these are probably later builds than the rest. And what we want to copy is this year build here, and we can save that, and you can see that that's applied to there. You also might have noticed that the target temperature for the rooms has changed because of the year build, and also the air changes per hour. Now, all of these are customizable. If you know, for example, that a room has been, a fireplace removed or something, and the room is sealed better than the preemption of a 1910 room, you can adjust the air changes as suits your needs, and also the design temperature. A lot of places now want to design to 21 throughout. You can adapt that target design temperature and then customize it across all of the rooms should you want to. So next, dimensions. And again, all of these rooms, that's a lot of data entry, and not a lot of these values are exactly the same. So it would be every line here going through, doing your heights, your window measurements, all of that stuff. So this has just taken such a heavy load off of you once you've already gone and done the survey. You're just literally coming back and double checking it, if anything. Ensuite and bedroom. Now you might notice that these look slightly different, and that's because we've got vaulted rooms in these bedrooms. Or in these rooms, sorry. One of the most brilliant features of Vieweet is the fact that it will capture a vaulted ceiling. Now, anyone that's surveyed vaulted rooms before manually, the equations and the working out can sometimes be a bit difficult. The fact that Vieweet captures that and pre-populates this information is a massive headache removed. And then for us at Heat Engineer, what we've got is 8 different types of vaulted room. And all we ask you to do is fill in the dimensions that we ask for. And you click on the logo here, and we ask you what the wall type is. And from that, we do all the maths in the background, and we work out the volume, the ceiling measurements, all of that stuff for you. And again, it's all done to standard, so you can be rest assured that it's accurate. We've got a document that can help you out as well if you've got any questions or queries there. We're listing all the different vaulted room types that we cover here. We've also got some external design temperature stuff, as well as some shielding. So a nice document there to assist on your heat loss journey. And we go through to our vaulted rooms. You can see here, this is the data we've captured from there, from the Vieweet survey, and that's pre-populated that as well. And then we've just input the details here for the external wall. And we've got all of our volumes, roof, party walls, and all the measurements there required. So next thing we would do is we push through to our material selection. So the heat loss estimation tool, what we did there is we built that using the quick select guide, and we set some default materials. Now, if you were on site and the materials turned out to be accurate to the default selection, what you can do, and this will facilitate the same result in windows and doors as well as floors and ceiling, we've got this button here, and this will copy those materials and fill in anything that has a measurement. Anything that's got a measurement and requires to be filled in will be populated. So you can see here, we've taken all of that, and that's been populated for us. So even that minor detail, the estimation, you might not necessarily need an estimation. However, with doing that and taking maybe that extra couple of minutes to list the materials in there, you could save yourself a good bit of work on the back end. So what I'll do is I'll just switch to this other one of the same property that I did. Here's one I made earlier, very much so. So after our floors and ceiling, you can see here that I've gone through and I've made sure, in this case, the materials weren't the same. So I've gone through and I've added in what they were. Some of them are listed as the materials from the Sibsey Heat and Design Guide. You can see here for the kitchen, I've got a different external wall because we've got a new build extension on there. So we've got actually a rendered facade on the back. And then we've got slightly different material build up. We've also got the rooms in the loft, which the walls aren't going to be solid brick because we've gone up there. So we've got some slightly different material there. Windows and doors are the same throughout. And then floors and ceilings, you can see here we've got that floor in the kitchen now, because that would have been installed new. That will be an insulated slab. So it's slightly different to the rest of the house, which was existing. And you can do all this within, obviously here, opening up your dashboard and selecting a material. And again, if there's not a material that suits, you can add that in here, and you can create that material from scratch to really improve accuracy. So we've got all our materials. Next thing we do after all of that is we want to check that we've done it correctly. So we want to check the postcode first and foremost. Postcode is one of the most important factors, as I said earlier on. This enables us to dictate the external design temperature, which is fundamental in our heat loss calculation. We're then got the room with the largest surface area. So again, you would have surveyed the property. You would have watched or you would have seen around the property and had a rough idea of what room was largest. You can sense check that information. Are the rooms above and below correct? Elena referred to something within the software and Vieweet. You can see which way the heat's moving. So you can either correspond with that, or if you remember from the survey, because we're keen to understand where we're losing that heat and which way it's going. Highest U value, and then we've got the stories, the total floor area, and then the average watts per meter squared. And once we've done all that, we would go to our review, and you can see here we've got our total heat loss in kilowatts. We can go around the pie chart and we can see each room in its own individual heat loss. We can see it in a table format as well, which makes it quite easy to see. We've got the watts per meter squared per room. So anything red doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it's high. So this being your highest measurement, and then you've got a few there over 100 watts per meter squared. We've got our projected energy usage for the property, annual energy usage, again displayed in a pie chart, total in the middle, and then we've got our per room around the edge. This can also be viewed in a table format. Heat loss in watts we've got here. Now we can see each room from the drop down, or we can see all of the rooms and we can change the actual fabric here. Ventilation's the same. We can see it per room, or we can see all the rooms and change what we want to see. And that's also the same there with our material U values. Yes. So now we've done all we need to in terms of our heat loss report or our heat loss findings. So load up, 1 second. So in a moment, it's Friday afternoon. Here we go, right. So once we've got all of that information and we know sort of what energy we need, and we know the heat loss, all of those things, we can now start to build out the report for the customer. So fuel comparison is quite a useful one. We've got the ability to list the actual price here. We can change all of that. We can change the efficiency of the boiler. We can change the units, the kilowatt hours per unit, the emissions. All of those things in here are customizable. Same with the air source heat pump. And you've also got access to all of the different fuel types here. So it suits whatever scenario you're in and whatever fuel source you might be replacing. We can view it in a chart form as well here. And then what we would push through to after this is our emitters and performance. So one really good piece of functionality within our software is the fact that if we, in the room features, if we mention that the type of emitter is underfloor heating, and then we dictate the flow temperature, we select what floor type it is and the surface, that's going to tell us what our max pipe spacing should be. So sometimes there might be an example where you go to an existing property, it's a retrofit installation. You might have, you might be trying to achieve a flow temperature of say 30 degrees, but you might be dictated, your flow temperature might be dictated by the floor with the underfloor heating, because you'll have to do a high enough temperature for that spacing, because otherwise you just won't get the heat into that room, unless of course you were to add supplementary heating like another radiator, something like that. But that usually defeats the object of a customer having underfloor heating. So we've got a list here of all our rooms and the emitter types, the flow temperature, and then the potential SCOP and rating. We can adjust the flow temperature here as well. This is one of several places we can adjust that. And then we can also adjust the flow temperature here on the side where we are choosing our replacement emitters. So we can change the flow temperature, we can adjust the delta T. We've got different fluid types as well, should you need to be considering the viscosity of glycol once it's added into the system and dosed. And as you move through here now, what you'll see is we've got our current radiator. So the output at the moment at our mean water temperature is only 517 watts roughly. We're quite a way off of that here. So we'd need to find either an additional radiator or a complete replacement. And as we move through, you can see in some of the rooms, the kitchen is underfloor heating. Dining room, we've got 2 radiators in there, but again, we're still under the watts required. So we're going to have to adjust that. And that's the consistent theme, because ultimately we're lowering the flow temperature and the radiators currently are working at 70-degree flow and a delta T of 50. So target room temperature 20, flow temperature from the appliance 70, and that's what gives you the delta T of 50. So what we can do in that instance, we've obviously recognised there that we need to upgrade our radiators. Excuse me. So we can add all the current radiators if we wanted to retain those and add in an additional. So we can do that. Then we could add in a proposed radiator. So let's just say we've got all of Stelrad's P1s to K3s. We've also got a few more designer radiators from Stelrad, Meissen, Kermitherm. We've got some Taurus in there as well. Excuse me. As well as some other designer radiators. So I'm going to put in here a K2. And let's say, for example, we want to use a 600 high. And we'll go 1400 wide. Now we can change the pipe configuration as well, because you will gain a certain amount of percentage of extra heat from a top and bottom opposite end in comparison to bottom opposite end or top and bottom same end. So we're 1228 watts there. So we're still a bit short. So what I'm going to do in this example is I'm going to remove these radiators. And what we've got up the top here is a handy AI radiator sizing tool. So what we can do here, we can tell it the available space we've got, height and length. We can tell it how many radiators we're happy for it to allow for. So in this example, let's just say we're happy for 3, and the connection type. And if I suggest replacements here, what that's going to do for me there is that's going to find the closest radiator to the to the output needed. And then what I'll do is, if I'm happy with that selection, I would just confirm that there, and that would give me the radiator. So again, that takes a lot of hard work out of it for you, going through and potentially sizing every radiator, and just reducing your labour in terms of design. Once we've done that, obviously another fundamental for our process is sizing our hot water cylinder. So there's a quick summary page here of the hot water energy required for this property, or property of this size. And then also we can size our pipe work. So I've already pre-filled this just as an example. But what I've included here is the primary pipe work from the appliance to the plant room. And then I've included a flow and return from the plant room up to the top floor to figure out what size pipe we might need. So you can see all the rooms included, we've got to cover there just over 18.5 kilowatts. So I've thought that maybe a 28mm pipe diameter might suit. And you can see here that actually it's telling me that the diameter needs to be increased because the velocity is exceeding 1. We've got some notes here which explain why we set the parameters to this. So any velocity exceeding 1 is potentially going to cause noise, erosion, corrosion, and cavitation. So we want to make sure we're operating no greater than 1. Any velocity below 0.5, that's going to increase air and dirt settlement. So you're going to get areas where the velocity of the water just won't carry the dirt, and that will settle and cause blockages potentially. We've got our minimum pressure loss in pascals per meter. And then again, we've got our fluid here because we need to understand the viscosity of that fluid to figure out our pump size and how we're going to force that around the circuit. We've got several material types as well. We can change the pressure loss units and we can change our flow rates too. So as I said, this velocity far exceeds what we really want to aim for. So if I just click on here, you can see I've got the flow temperature of 45. I've got the delta T. 28 isn't quite enough. It's a 10-meter pipe run. Let's try 35. Let's just try and size it up one size. Still just over. Realistically, you might get away with that, just over 1. But if we're following the software's recommendations, let's go one size again. And you can see there we've got that accepted. That's right in that sweet spot between 0.5 and 1. And we're not going to suffer from either high velocity or low velocity. And then from there, you can build your circuit, build your index circuit. And what you would do is you would add a section and then you would build that system out. And then you can create your index circuit there to understand which part of the system has the most resistance for your heating system. And then once we were done with that, we pushed through to our summary of results. And at this point, you're getting the full overview. So obviously this is just an example, but in these instances, you'd need a heat pump that could cover at least 15 or 18 as the other. I think I've removed a room from the estimation here. So, but anyway, this volume here, this output needs to cover your peak heat demand. Otherwise, you will never, ever get the property hot. So you'd need to choose an appliance that did that. You've got an estimation of space heating, what the energy is being used, water heating calculations for your hot water, the proportions of consumption and running costs as well. And then you get that in a summary report and a full report as well. So all of this is required by MCS. So we've got a full report here. And this is split up into 2 parts. We've separated it for like a customer part. So an overview of the requirements and some explanations as to why heat loss matters, what is the report, those bits and bobs. And then we've got the more technical information further down. So some customers will be just as intrigued in that as others, but others just will trust the engineer and the surveyor in the information they're being given. So again, once we've gone through all that process, we've done the survey with Vieweet, we've gathered the data, we've imported it, we've filled out all our room by rooms and our materials and everything like that. We come through to the latter stages, and this is now where we're making that the final application stuff for MCS. So we can size our cylinder here, and we can size it 2 ways, either on bathrooms or a demand profile. So you can choose here. We've got the heat pump band in terms of output. We've got some presets of how much water and what the temperature difference is that we need to cover. And then the heat input from The heat pump is also there. We've then got that energy demand estimation that you saw earlier. And again, that will be created as a PDF, and that will give you all the information there, the workings out of the reheat, everything you need there. Then you'd have to make your DNO application. So this is actually straight into the DNO. So I won't complete this because otherwise I'll be making an application. But ultimately, it's everything you need to apply to connect your appliance. You just need some information about the main head of the incoming electrics. Any existing devices like car chargers, etc., would be covered off here. And then the new device that you're installing, a cutout image as well for safety. And they've got an AI tool that reviews those images as well and can highlight if something needs replacing. And you can see there where I've missed that information, it's giving me that pointer that I need to just go back and cover those items off. And then once we do that, we're generating our MCS compliance certificate. So we are going to be supplying continuous heating. We've discussed with the customer domestic hot water. We've got our heat emitter information, the temperature here. We've discussed the calculations. We'd review this. I would sign it as an MCS approved contractor and tick that I confirm. And we've got our compliance certificate. And then from that point, you could issue one last proposal as a final quote, having gone through all of that with your customer. And with any luck, they'll accept and you'll be installing a nice new heat pump within their property. So that's fundamentally how we take that information from Vieweet and we carry on through our process and then create an accurate heat loss that will be approved by MCS and compliant. So I'll stop sharing my screen for the time being. And just want to put out there, if there is any questions at all, then please use the Q&A function and we'll be happy to answer them. Obviously we've got some time here. We've scheduled a bit more time for this webinar today. So it'd be great that if you guys have got the time as well, that we answer any of your questions. If you're struggling to find the Q&A, then please put them in the chat. We can answer them in there as well. Give everyone a couple of minutes. Oh yeah, okay. I've just seen a picture from a question from Kabir. So yeah, obviously Vieweet could take the photos, and then if you had a building spec of potential materials from the builder, you could then potentially use that to input the material types at a later date, or as Elena said, you could carry on with another tour after once it's completed.
We have one about the measurement capture. So with the Vieweet app, you will need to take the 360 photos, and then the measurements will be extracted from that. We will ask you to enter some reference measurements. This will be directly through the app. This would be either the center of the lens height or the ceiling height in the new app. So there will be no other measurements that you need to enter within the app. Everything else is going to be calculated for you from the 360 photos and the reference measurements you have entered.
Perfect. Thanks, Elena. Jason said we're an independent survey company. Can the owner of the software share the survey part solely with us? So I think, Elena, that's probably one for you in terms of Vieweet accounts. How would they go about that? I'm guessing they use maybe third-party surveyors, and they want the data back. So would a third-party surveyor have access to their account potentially, or?
You will need to share the details with them, but you from Vieweet you will be able to extract these measurements in a PDF format or just share the live link with them. So it will be like easily accessible, like in that way. It's just going to be like a URL, and if you want, like just a PDF as well with all the measurements that we mentioned.
Ah, perfect. There you go, Jason. So PDF or live link, and you'll have access to that. Matt, can you share the Vieweet survey with the customer to show the new radiator position? So I'm guessing that's going to be the same process, Elena. Vieweet, the live link.
Yeah, you will have the live link, so that is fully shareable with clients. Yeah.
Fantastic. So air-to-air heat pumps, we are looking to add something into that for our software. Ultimately, the data capture from Vieweet will give you everything you needed to work out the requirements. So yeah, on our side, we are working on bringing that in at some point, and you'd be able to use it for that. Vieweet usage including the heat engineer subscription. So you would need a dedicated heat engineer subscription for use of our software, and then you'd need a Vieweet subscription for the use of the Vieweet software, and then linking the two.
Yeah, and Vieweet is not a subscription base, so it's based on each property. So it's a one-off payment per future energy report or virtual tour that you create.
Perfect.
Is it only a selection of Ricoh cameras that are compatible, or can Insta360 be used? So with the existing Vieweet app, it's all the Ricoh Theta cameras are compatible. But with the new app that we're going to launch at the end of this month, we're going to have the compatibility as well with the Insta360. So if you have already an Insta360, you can probably wait till the end of June, and you will be able to use it directly with the Vieweet app.
Perfect. Jamie's just answering another one about PV panels. So I will just, whilst everyone's here, hopefully you can see that. But this is the Theta camera SC2. This is one of the lower models, but the more affordable models, and it does exactly what is required. Captures the images very clear, very quickly and succinctly, and then once Vieweet have access to that, it's all carried out from there. So very good bit of kit, that. Although I did get the hot pink one.
I've got the same.
They've got a really fancy one, haven't they? What's the is it the X2 or something? The one with the digital screen on it as well.
Theta X, yeah, it's a more
Yeah.
like high-end new camera. Yeah, it has a screen.
Very fancy. So we've still got some time. If there's any more questions, I'm keen to get those answered for you before you leave the session. Is there anything that anyone needs me to go through again? If they'd like me to just revisit any parts that they didn't quite catch, or obviously the recording will be made available, as I mentioned. Give it a couple of minutes just in case.
Yeah.
Heat loss available on site instantly. No, so once you've carried out the survey, it's a 24-hour process period, isn't it, Elena, for Vieweet
it's
to give you the
usually
3D twin?
overnight or 24 hours. And once the data are processed, then it will be available into each engineer.
If you're at the property, how would you set up the U values on the Vieweet survey before it's pulled into Heat Engineer? Do you have that capacity at the moment for materials?
No, not at the moment.
No.
It's something we are looking at though, to add materials. So it's something we will consider for the future, but not at
Yeah.
the moment, no.
I think that's one part that you might need to make a note of if you can't remember it from the survey itself or the pictures you've taken. You might need a list of materials, and then obviously as I referenced and showed in the Heat Engineer software, you can build that U value manually, or we've got the materials from the heating design guide with preset U values that you could utilize. Can one enter measured U values and measured? Sorry, Brian, I'm not sure what you're referring to there. How will we get access to the recording? Yes, we will send it out. Probably similar to how we've issued the invite. To be fair, I'll make it available to the colleagues at Vieweet, and then we can both share accordingly. So depending what platform you've come from, we can share that out, a link to the recording. Brian, do you want to just ask your question again so we can get that answered for you? So at the moment, it's the Ricoh Theta cameras, Stephen, but by the end of June, it should be Insta360s as well. Is that just Insta360s or other 360 cameras as well?
It's just the Insta360 for now.
Yeah, that's cool. So didn't want to make sure I missed any off.
Yeah.
Options to include the Vieweet survey image within Heat Engineer. Stephen, that's a good point. I'm guessing you're referring to having that on the report potentially. That's something we could more than likely facilitate, and it's some really good feedback. So I'll take that away with us. Yeah, no problem. I'll take that feedback away with us, and if it's something that's desired from a lot of people, then it's something we'll definitely look to integrate. So thanks for that. Measured U values and measured air changes per hour rather than assumed figures. Yes, Brian, right, I'm with you. So yes, we can enter measured U values. So I'll quickly share my screen again rather than try and explain it. So in terms of air changes per hour, we have got the facility to add a reading from a pulse, air or blower door test. So you could add that in if you had those readings. If you wanted to, if you knew that there was some measured air changes per hour, you can change them here. So we've got the custom air changes per hour, and you can change them accordingly there. And then failing that, what we've got, because this is this is on our dev side of the system. So 1 second, let me get to the right place. We've got a slightly newer version of the ventilation calcs coming out. And what that does is that's been reviewed. There's been a study reviewed, and actually the UK housing stock performs a lot better than some industry standards would suggest. So we've got the ability here to select in more detail what that air tightness might be, and then you can select here. So a typical home is recommended about 8 on the ventilation there, on the air permeability, and you can do that there and use that estimation rather than pre-assigned. And then if you don't, then you use the measured one, and if not, it will be estimated based off the calculations in the background. U values. Let me quickly go on to U values for you as well. So materials, where are we? Let's go here. Walls. So this party wall, for example. So we've got the list of materials here. We've got the ability to add a new material. So if you knew that it was, several materials, and you just add that in and you added a custom U value, you could do that. And then failing that, you could add, sorry, wrong button. You can create a U value from scratch. So you can select the leaf, the building element, the material, full list of materials here with their U values, their watts per meter Kelvin. And you would build that up, including thickness, add that layer in, and that would build you a, so let's just put one in for example, so you know how it works. So 100 mil brick, we'll add that layer in. You can see here we've got a computed value of 3.02 at the moment. So now if we add in, let's add in some insulation. Let's put in some Celotex insulation. Let's put 150 mil in there. We'll add that layer in, and you can see there we've computed that U value. That's done all the maths in the background, and then we've got that U value there. We'd save that material, and you can see there that would then be inputted. So hopefully that made sense, Brian. Stop sharing that now. Answer live, that's done. Answer live, that's done. Yeah, Stephen, that's another great point, a really good point. Once we've got the 3D twin from Vieweet, we could potentially think about adding in pipe routes on there. Yeah, with the sizing and stuff. That's a really, really good point again. So thank you for that. Not something we've got at the moment, though, but something definitely to consider. Really appreciate the questions and the feedback, guys. So keep it coming. We've still got some time. I don't want to remove anyone's ability to leave the session understanding how to use it moving forward. And obviously, as explained earlier, my role specifically as training manager is to support you guys in the uptake of the software. So should you have any further questions or need any further assistance with using the software, then just reach out to us. We've got hello@heat-engineer, and we've also got my email address, which is asa@heat-engineer. I'll put them in the chat as well. Yes, so Jason, good point. Elena was referring to that with the update. Isn't that coming in the update, Elena, about air source heat pump location and stuff?
Yes, so we will have the option to place 3D objects into the 3D model. So we will display different objects, and you will be able simply to drag and drop those objects where you want, scale them, and just like adjust them, and those will then be available directly on the link. You will also be able to take screenshots of that directly from Vieweet, record like a little video session. So this can be as well like sent directly to the client if you don't want to send the full survey to them.
Stephen's also mentioned about having a video production that could be shown to the client. So I'm guessing a walkthrough video, similar to probably what you showed, Elena.
Yeah, so the URL is a live link, so the customer can explore at their own pace. We have some options in the new app where you will actually be able to screen record your screen. So if there is anything specific that you would like to show to the client, you will be able to screen record and then just send that video to the client.
Perfect. JB, Velux windows and roof lanterns, will they be measured? They're picked up by the software, aren't they?
Yeah. Everything on the roof will be available. So any roof glazing, windows, will be available. Perfect. In the report.
Yeah, again, good point. So, Stephen, so with that, we've got obviously the update that Elena just referred to in terms of placing objects within the software and within the 3D twin. What I did as well, I'll share my screen again, 1 second. So within the 3D twin, in the Vieweet side, I had a picture of the garden. So I took a screenshot of that. And then in my sound assessment here we go, come on. So in my sound assessment here, once I go through the positions, I use that image. You can see here, this is, no, I just want to view that. Oh my, I'll zoom in. That's directly from the 3D twin, and then I've just placed that image there. So gave a description, heat pump to be placed on the decking or next to the neighbouring property. So basically where that rendered wall is, and then took into account the assessment window location and stuff as well. So something like that, and then in the future, once the update comes and the placement there, you could pull an image with a placed object actually in that 3D twin, which you could use as your sound assessment picture. Commented to maps. Oh, okay. So the placed object with a comment on the map, potential heat pump location, I think Steve's referring to. So if you place that object in the garden, you could see it on the Ordnance Survey map as well, potentially.
It will be available, directly in both the 360 view and the dollhouse view. So yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, for everyone still on the webinar, thanks again very much for your time this afternoon. It's really appreciated that you take the time out of your busy schedules and make the effort to join the webinar and see what we have to offer. And we're really excited about this collaboration. I hope obviously you guys are too. Fundamentally, we've decided to collaborate because it makes everyone's lives a lot easier when it comes to data capture and then surveying. So with that, thank you very much, and take care. Any questions, please reach out, and the recording will be made available in due course.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.